Hey, what's up, you guys? It is Tyler. Welcome to the Tyler Williams channel. I am Tyler Williams, of course, and welcome to a new video on this channel. So right off the bat, if you are not subscribed to this channel, if you are not a loyal subscriber to this channel, please subscribe to this channel. Like this video, share it around, and let everyone know that Tyler Williams is live right now. I mean, when you're watching this video back, most likely won't be live anymore, but you know, you get the point. My hair is like all poofy today. My hair is all types of like messed up, so I'm having a hat on to like not show you how ugly it is. This is what I'm gonna do next time. Every time my hair is like all messy, I'm just gonna put a hat on because I finally got a hat to wear. So now I have an excuse to wear a hat. It's like I didn't do my hair this morning. It's 9:53 at night, so I can't say I didn't do my hair this morning. So I'm gonna do. Well, actually, I didn't do my hair. Anyway, we're off topic. So as I said in the previous video, I will be doing reviews of The Walking Dead because The Walking Dead is my all-time favorite TV show. That is my drug. I've been watching since season 3 started. I've seen every season of Walking Dead, but when I started watching The Walking Dead in 2013. So yeah, roughly 3 years ago, I started watching The Walking Dead. Roughly 4 years ago, I started watching The Walking Dead, and I've been hooked ever since. I've been watching each season live, starting from season 4. So, coming from me, I am a Walking Dead expert. I know just about everything about the show. Maybe not everything behind the scenes. If you give me a quiz, I probably will score pretty good on it. If I do say so myself. I am knowledgeable about the comic books. I do not read the comic books consistently. I have read issues 1 through 66. I really don't read the comic book that often because I just don't buy the comic book. So I'm sure there's ways to read it on like, you know, comic book websites, but maybe I'll have to get into it like sometime down the line, but maybe. But we're not here to talk about the comics. We're here to talk about the TV shows, the Walking Dead TV show, and how it has evolved into what it is now. We are now going on to season 7 of The Walking Dead, and so many new things are happening. We're getting a new introduction of this character named Negan, this main villain, the epitome of all things evil, him leading the Saviors, and how there's going to be a power struggle between him and Rick, and how Rick is going to have to cope with having to not be leader anymore, but to serve to this whole new leader who is just so cruel. And it's like Rick has never met someone like Negan. Not only that, but he's never had to serve to anyone. So now he and his group has to do that. So that's going to be interesting, seeing that all portray out on television, so to speak. But season 7 is this Sunday. Can't wait for it. My whole family can't wait for it. My family's we're all big Walking Dead fans. We all sit around and watch the show together live. So everyone's pretty excited to watch the show, if I do say so myself. No one more than me. That's just me. So I'm here to rank all 6 seasons of The Walking Dead. Now, this is all from my point of view. This is all my opinion. So if you disagree, comment down below. Please don't try to come at me with knives and stuff if I do like say something that you totally don't agree with. But this is personal opinion. I don't have a script with me, so I'm kind of just going based off the top of my head. I mean, there's a script in my head, but you know, you get the point. Okay, so this video kind of like is all over the place right now. I gotta apologize. Don't worry, the next 2 videos I want to do are going to be edited, so all this stuff is going on right now. You don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to rank it right now. The top ranking 6 seasons of The Walking Dead, from least favorite to the most favorite season. I'm going to go based off of the characters that were introduced, the stories that were developed, all that jazz. Okay, so starting with number 6, I would have to go with 6 will be my least favorite season. I would have to go with the obvious one, season 2. Now, if any Walking Dead fan out there were to think of season 2, they would think of, I don't remember the season, or I absolutely hated the season. No one, to my knowledge, really liked season 2 for a lot of main reasons. One of the main reasons was that we were stuck on the godforsaken farm for the entirety of ever, like literally. I can't tell you in the beginning of season 2, they stumbled across the farm, Herschel's farm, where they found, Herschel Green and his family, Beth, Maggie. I forgot their brother's name, but he wasn't that important. Their mother, all the other characters on the farm, and they were just temporarily staying there. But it ended up being like a residential stay because they just needed somewhere to go after having the CDCC getting blown up. They needed somewhere to go, and they stumbled across the farm. And Herschel was kind enough to allow them in the house, allow them to live on the farm. Now, at this time, we did have Shane still on the show, which Shane is one of my favorite Walking Dead characters. So that's a plus. Shane was on there. John Blumenthal, he's a great actor, phenomenal in his role. So that's a big plus. My laptop is about to die, so probably should have started charging it before this all happened. We'll continue talking while I try to plug this thing in. But needless to say, despite John Brenthal being portrayed on this show, season 2 was not all that good for a few reasons that I'm about to list to you right now. The first reason is that for most of the season, it took place all in one spot, the farm. Now, most of the times in in some shows, it takes place all in one spot. I can completely understand that. But at the pace that The Walking Dead goes, The Walking Dead is a TV show based on a struggle between humans trying to survive in a world filled with flesh-eating walkers, of course, flesh-eating monsters. So you'd expect them to be moving around, to be out and about, fighting off these flesh-eating monsters, but in this season, you saw them on the farm constantly. You saw relationships get built. You saw relationships get destroyed. You did see some action here and there, but it was a lot of just talking, and there was a lot more dialogue in this season, and I think that set a lot of fans of The Walking Dead off, because we want to see blood, we want to see gore, we want to see action. Now, don't get me wrong, though. I'm not saying there was no action at all, because there definitely was. There was that season 2 definitely did have its moments. We did see the death of Dale, which was pretty sad. I'd say that was the most saddening death of the whole season. Actually, yeah, really, the most saddening death of the whole season was Dale dying when he got his stomach ripped open. I think he really was the only notable death in that season. Please don't kill me if I don't remember who else died in that season. But to my knowledge, it wasn't only Dale, but the only notable death in that season was Dale. So there was only one notable death. They were on the farm that whole time. Way too much dialogue, not enough action. We did see the relationship build between Maggie and Glenn, which is a plus. We did see Shane, which is a plus. But we had Lori, which is a negative. I'm not a big fan of Lori. I never have been, never will be. She was the most annoying character on the show, and I was pretty happy when she died. Sounds terrible, but it's true. Let's see. We had what else did we have on this show? We really didn't have that much else. I mean, you got to also take into account the ending to the season, the farm being burned down. I forgot how it got burned down, but the farm being burned down and they had to leave. It was Herschel. They were fighting off the walkers. Like Herschel tapped into his gun shelter and pulled out a double barrel shotgun with unlimited clip and unlimited ammo. I thought this was GTA 4 for a second. The way he was just shooting that gun and just like this dude was never stopping. I was like, oh my god. So that whole scene, and you got to go back and watch season 2 in order to get what I'm saying. I'm kind of all over the place with this. I got to apologize one more time. But season 2, in my opinion, I didn't like it. I thought it was the worst season of all the 6. And personally, I have not gone back to watch season 2 since. That's it. Okay, so now we're on to number 5. The 5th, which would be the second to the least favorite, which is season 3. Now, season 3, we were introduced to a few new characters. We were introduced to Michonne. We were introduced to Tyrese. We were introduced to Sasha. We were introduced to Bob. We were introduced to Bob. We were introduced to the governor. Well, the governor was introduced in. Was he introduced in season 3? Was he introduced? Yeah, we were introduced to the governor. We were introduced to a plethora of new characters. And yes, it was a pretty good spot in the show. We did get a lot of new characters introduced. It led to the main storyline between Rick versus the governor and all this kind of stuff. But to me, what this season lacked was, it wasn't what it lacked. It got the essence of season 2 is in that I felt like there was way too much dialogue. Way too much dialogue in this season. Now, we did see a few returns. We did see one return. That was Maine. We did see the return of Morgan, who we have not seen since season 1 of The Walking Dead, episode 1. So that was nice to see him return. But other than that, we had a... hold on one second. Gotta sneeze. Excuse me. So, other than that return, we got a lot of introductions in. But other than those two things, I keep on saying other than. Those two things alone, it's good for that season. But at the end of the day, we had 16 episodes of what felt like long, drawn out dialogue. And even when you felt like the show was going in a direction of there's going to be a lot of action in this episode, very action packed, and they did have some episodes that were very action packed. Before every action packed episode, there were 3 or 4 filler episodes. And what I mean by filler episodes is episodes that are meant to fill up the show. And what I mean by that is there are episodes in every, not just The Walking Dead, every TV show. There are episodes that nothing really happens because they're either a setup for what's going to happen next, or it's like they need to fill time. So we're gonna throw some things in here. It's not going to be too major. It's basically one of those episodes where it's like if you miss it, you didn't miss anything. Basically, that's what a filler episode is. So I felt like for every action-packed episode I had this season, there were like 3 or 4 filler episodes. Like I distinctly remember one episode. It was Rick and it was the governor, and they were in one room with Andrea, and they were just talking about how they're going to have to work things out or whatnot. And we would flip-flop between them and Michonne or whoever else, but I swear to God, almost that whole entire episode felt like Rick and the governor talking, and I was losing my mind that episode because I felt like for almost 30 minutes, I felt like I was listening to Rick and the governor talk. And for that 30 minutes, I was like, okay, I can sit through this because I feel like there's going to be a part in here. Maybe Rick was going to reach across and slap the hell out of governor, or the governor is going to reach over and start banging his head on the table, or someone's going to pull out a gun. There's going to be a standoff. That didn't happen. And I felt like I watched that whole episode, that whole thing, them talking for no reason. And Andrea's there, and I feel like, okay, maybe Andrea's going to play a role into this. Maybe she's going to get governor's gun and start pointing it at Rick, or there's going to be a double turn or something. Like, this is going to be wrestling. They're going to start having wrestling. Nothing happened. They were just talking the whole time, and at the end of the episode, they just left and went about their day, and they didn't even fight that season. The governor and Rick did fight, but it didn't blow over until the next season. So that episode essentially almost killed the whole entire season for me. But that was the season where we did see the governor lose his eye, which was a pretty cool part in the show when he got his eye impaled by Michonne's katana. What else can I remember from this season? I just can't remember that much because nothing really happened in the season. The prison. I can't forget that. The Rick and the gang, they found a prison. It was overturned by, like, I don't know, I guess prisoners that survived the apocalypse. They were in the jail cell, and Rick and the gang went in there, basically killed them, and took the prison for themselves. So they stayed in that prison. They were in that prison for about a good season and a half. And the prison, to be honest, was a very distinct part of The Walking Dead alone, because it was in the comic books and it played a very major role. But the prison itself felt like there was nothing really going on in the prison. Like, when they shot to the prison, there was instances of maybe might get overturned, or maybe the walkers are going to come in, and whenever they did come in, it felt like, oh, tension is rising, and then nothing really happened. The prison itself wasn't really that interesting. I felt like every episode just built up to not much. And what was the ending? I don't even remember the ending of season 3. Oh yeah, Andrea died. Andrea died at the end of season 3. So that happened. Michonne had to put her out of her misery because I think she got bit, or the governor was about to kill her. And I guess that was the end of season 3. Season 3 was nothing eventful. The only thing that stopped it from being worse in season 2 was that there were some flip-flops, like between the governor and Rick, and some backstory from Michonne, and some light being shed on Tyrese and Sasha. We were introduced to a lot more new characters than season 2. A lot more correlating storylines. So that was really the only thing that kind of stopped season 3 from being worse than season 2. Because had that not been the case, season 3 probably would have been worse than season 2, like I just said. So there we go. It goes season 2, then season 3. Then next would be number 4, which is pretty much the dead center point of, I would say 4 and 3, kind of the dead center point. More so because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you've got to take that down. The center point's kind of 3 because there will be 3 left. It's 3 and 4 basically are the center point. So I'd say like the midway point. Yeah, the midway point we're at 4. So the worst being 2, the second worst being 3. Then we get on to the third worst or middle point, which to me is definitely going to be season. I've been debating about which one I want to do because I've decided between 2, and I've been debating about it for about a good 20 minutes on which one I want it to be. But I think that I'm going to have to go with season. I want to go with season 6, but I think I might have to go with. I'm going to go with season 6 here. Don't get me wrong. Season 6 was a good season. It was a good season. I really can't complain too much about it, but there were a few nitpicks I had with this season. Now, one of the nitpicks was that we were introduced to way too many people. Way too many people. And for me, I'm going to remember names. I can remember the names of people that I've seen. But I feel like when you got introduced to Alexandria, it was cool. You were into this community that they had to guard with their lives and build. But then you had this character and that character and Heath and this guy and that guy and this guy. I thought there was an oversaturation of characters we were supposed to remember. And when there's an oversaturation of people that I have to remember, that people that I gotta care about, names I gotta remember, I kind of can't care about them because it's like there's so many people that I gotta remember that I don't have enough space to care for everyone. And that's kind of how I felt with this season. Like we got introduced to a lot of people. I mean, a lot of the people some people got introduced to were at the end of season 5 rather than the beginning of season 6. But we got introduced to Heath. We got introduced to whoever Tara's girlfriend was at the time. We got introduced to what's his name? We got introduced to the dude. That dude that was he was in season 5. So we only got introduced to like a handful of people here this season. But then we got introduced to the Alexandrians. And Alexandrians, they didn't really play that much of a major role, but there was a lot of names that you thought were going to play a major role and they didn't. So that was a bunch of names that you remembered and they didn't come into play at all. And I felt like at season 6, at this point we are at now, I felt like there were way too many characters. I felt like there were way too many characters that we had to pay attention to, way too many characters, way too many names we have to remember. So adding that onto the core group, which already has like, 11, 12 people, it's like, come on now. That's way too many characters got to remember. Like, this isn't the 100. It's not like that. So in this season, which is the latest season of Walking Dead, in this season, we had the beginning, which was them going into Alexandria. And there were quite a few filler episodes in this season. Not too much happened. Now, right out of the get-go, the first 2 episodes are, in my opinion, the best episodes of the season. The first 2 episodes, they killed it. You had the first episode was when, what happened? I forget what happened in the first episode. Okay. I literally just said that and I forgot what happened in the first episode. But I think the second, I remember what happened in the first episode, it was a flashback episode. They were showing you, I can't even touch upon that first episode because like I really don't remember the first episode all that fondly. But it was the second episode I felt like was the best episode of that whole entire season. And the main part was because of Carol, because Carol is my favorite character. But Carol made that episode what it is. Carol, she just went around, she disguised herself, the infamous Carol camouflage, when she disguised herself as a wolf and went around and killed like 5 or 6 or 7 wolves. That was awesome. You had the struggle, the internal, external, I see you, get out of my way between Morgan and Carol, which was building up to something fierce. I thought there were going to be a fight scene, and there was kind of a fight scene in the mid-season, season 6. But nothing really eventful really happened except Carol getting body slammed by Morgan, which was, I booed Morgan because I was really mad that he body slammed my girl. Like, what is wrong with you, dude? But we had Carol in that episode, was great. The first episode was great. The third episode was totally memorable because we had that episode where everyone thought Glenn died, and every Glenn fan and their mom was freaking out and crying. After that, it was just filler. And then we got to 7th episode when we found out Glenn was alive and he partnered up with Enid, that girl I do not like at all. I just do not like Enid. There's also something with her. I just feel like there's something about Enid that I just do not like about her. I just do not like Enid at all. So they made their way back, and they made their way back to Alexandria. In the process, that tower that was guarding Alexandria came crashing down and knocked down the whole entire rail, and all the walkers that were surrounding Alexandria came right in. And people were dying, and well, some people were dying, but it was fight or flight mode for everyone at Alexandria, not just the core group, but everyone at Alexandria. So they had to stand up and they had to fight. And fight they did, which led to a cliffhanger, which I felt like we did. We had a lot of cliffhangers in this season. So what's led to a cliffhanger, which led to us returning for episode 9. Episode 9 was pretty memorable too. We saw the death of 3 characters. We saw the death of forgot her name. She was important, but she wasn't that important. Rick's lover, I'm gonna call her that. Rick's lover, her son, who got her and himself killed, and then her other son, who was killed by Michonne after he shot out Carl's eye. So that happened. In the midst of that, we had a bunch of walkers coming in. Everyone's trying to fight. They're trying to fight to keep the walkers away. Before that, we had Abraham, Sasha, and Daryl. They ran into the Saviors, and we thought they were going to die, but then Daryl saved them, which kind of plays into the premiere of season 7. I think they're gonna remember. Negan's gonna find that out, and he's gonna to Daryl. That's another topic for another day. So all that happened in that episode. After that, I felt like it was filler. There was an episode where we saw Carol and Maggie. They got abducted, which we saw Carol's mental breakdown, which I honestly thought she was faking it. Come to find out she wasn't, and she literally was having a mental breakdown in front of our very eyes. And for the next few episodes, Carol was just off of her rocker. You could tell that she was not the Carol of old. Well, Carol of old will be the timid, abused Carol. She was not the badass Carol that we all know and love. She was the timid badass Carol, which I hate. I do not like this Carol. This is a main part of the reason why this is kind of a bias here. But part of the reason why this season is mid and not top tier is because of the direction that Carol is being thrown into, and I'm not liking it at all. But that and the ending of the season, which was a cliffhanger that left a sour taste in my mouth as well. I get why they did it, but it left the sour taste in everyone's mouth. And even then, the last episode was It felt like a big deal because of what happened at the end, but when you look at the last episode in general, it wasn't really that good because it was them. It was the group walking around, finding out they're cornered, walking around, finding out they're cornered, walking around. All this build up to Negan, and it was them walking around the whole time. And Morgan trying to find Carol, which he did. Thank God he did before Carol died. But it was them walking around up until Negan tracked them, and they found Negan, and Negan killed somebody, and we still don't know who Negan killed. So all that jumbled up, just I didn't think that season was really, honestly, deserving of being a 5 or a 6 or a 4. So it ended up being a 3. So we get on to number 3. So we have number 6, the worst season, being season 2. Number 5, the second worst season, being season 3. And then number 3, the third to the worst, the middle point, being season 6. So now the next one being season 1. Season 1 being number 3 because season 1 is the foundation of what this show is supposed to be. It was only 6 episodes long. And we got an introduction into a lot of characters that now are deceased. There's only, from that season, I believe there's only 3 characters that are still living. Rick, Carol, Glenn, and Daryl. So that's only 3 characters from that season that are actually still living. Yeah, only 4. Oh, and Carl. So 5. So that being said, this season was pretty good in my opinion. I thought that we saw a lot of characters coming. We saw a lot of introduction of characters because it was the first season, of course. And we came to like a lot of them. And because of the season, we come to, love The Walking Dead. So I can't see a reason why I will put it on the lower tier. So it has to be 3, in my opinion. I can't give it that much of a higher ranking because the season was short. It was only 6 episodes. So I can't give it that high of a rank only because the season wasn't long enough. It was only 6 episodes. Simple as that. So then we get on to number 2. So number 6, season 2. Number 5, season 3. Number 4, season 6. And number 3, season 1. Now we get on to number 2, which is going to reveal number 1 as well. But number 2 being season 5. Season 5 to me, nope, switch it around. I switched it around. Season 4. Season 4 is number 2. Season 5, number 1. Now let's start with season 4. Season 4, we saw the break between. We saw Farmer Rick. Farmer Rick was the worst Rick there was. We saw Rick become he became too comfortable. He became too acquainted with being within this wall, within this whole world that is his prison. He became way too comfortable, and once he became comfortable, the governor came in and they messed everything up. And because of that, they had to leave because the governor basically ruined their whole prison and they couldn't stay there anymore because the walkers were coming in. And that led to a whole struggle. That led to a bunch of groups being formed. And it led to like 4 or 5 groups being formed. And because of this, we saw a lot of new, very diverse developments. And I thought because this season was so great, because of this, if it were not for this season, I don't think we would have come to like a lot of the characters that we like now. Think about it this way. Who do we have? We have Daryl and Beth. Now, because of this group, there was this whole fan fiction, this whole love thing about Daryl and Beth. They're going to be this new couple, which never happened. To be honest, I never was that big of a fan of Beth. But Daryl he showed emotion. And Daryl really doesn't show emotion that much, but he showed emotion towards Beth, and that was pretty touchy. Then we saw the another group between Rick and Carl, which later became Rick, Carl, and Michonne. With those 3, we saw the relationship build between Rick and Michonne, which later tied into season 5 and 6. Carl, being the annoying teenager that he was, I hated Carl that season. That season alone, I just wanted Carl to die so badly. But it was strange from that. We had that group. We also had the group of Maggie. Who was it? We had the group of Maggie, Bob, and Sasha. Nothing really happened too much in that group. It was just that group looking for Glenn. Well, I can't say nothing too much happened in that group because that group found Terminus. They found Terminus first. So, yeah, I can't say nothing happened in that group. They found Terminus. Following the signs. Follow and go to Terminus. Then we had the next group being Glenn and Tara. Glenn and Tara then stumbled on against characters that